Hello, I'm Sharon Scott Wilson, publisher of Resort Trades Magazine. Welcome. As you may know, Resort Trades has been sending our print edition every month to every resort in the U.S. for 30 years, maybe 31 by now. And also we do have an online weekly e-newsletter, Resort Trades Weekly. So if you are interested in subscribing to either of these, please go to resorttrades.com and sign up. We'd love to grow our resort family. So welcome to another Trades Learning event. If you missed any of our previous webinars, they are posted on YouTube. We have a channel there. Just look for Resort Trades. Now, throughout the session, we encourage you to enter your questions and comments in our chat area, and we'll promise to try and catch up with them as quickly as possible and as efficiently. Today's program features Travis Bary, who is Chief Operating Officer of Capital Vacations, as you may notice from his screen behind him. But welcome, Travis. Thank you for coming.
Glad to be here.
As a matter of fact, his article, if you received your February edition of Resort Trades, and it's also posted online, John Loker wrote up his interview that he had with Travis. Starts here on page 10 of the February issue, or posted online. So today, Travis is going to review some of the major points of how to raise your resort's revenue. I think it'll be very instructive, and he'll elaborate on that article too. So you'll have all kinds of resource there. Now, Travis is a 25-year veteran of the timeshare industry. He looks like he started when he was 2. He joined Capital Vacations as COO in 2018. And as you probably know, Capital Vacations is one of the largest multi-site timeshare management companies, as well as being developers and vacation club developers in their own right, one of the largest in North America. So Travis is responsible for overseeing the company's strategic business operations, including the area of resort operations, resort development, product development, owner services, and sales, branding, and communications. So Travis and I have worked out a number of interview questions, and I have the cheat sheet answers, but I'll let Travis elaborate on those. The first question was, what are the top 5 things that raise resort revenues?
Well, thanks, Sharon. First, it's great to be here. I'm glad we're recording this so that I can let my mom listen to that intro. I don't think she'd believe it otherwise. So thanks a lot. So again, happy to be here. Hey, very pertinent times for us to discuss ways to raise resorts revenue. I think that nobody on this webinar, or nobody that's going to listen to it later, would have forecasted what would have happened in the last year. So, raising revenue, ensuring that the resorts have the revenue they need to operate is critical. So we look at 5 things as we look at this for our HOAs, and I would say we proudly manage 68 associations in the U.S. and Caribbean, and I should say, and most of those are fiercely independent associations. So we try to provide guidance where they wish to have it. But overall, sales and marketing is critical. We think it's just absolutely critical to be able to sell HOA owned and then get back and sell delinquent intervals. And with each resort these days seeing an average fallout of 3 to 4%, and we're still waiting to see what COVID impact will be with that. It means a 100-unit resort is seeing 150 to 160 intervals on average, 175 to far out each year. And how will we sell those and get back up and create dues-paying members? So critically important that you have that. You need to have a solution, a sales and marketing solution that can sell inventory across your seasons. it's a lot of folks can sell the prime intervals, or you'll have your own owners that would buy the prime intervals. But what are we going to do with the balance of those seasons? So again, a critical piece for us to think about. So, hey, smart board members like the ones who are going to listen to this are actively seeking new ways to do that, and that's an awesome thing to do. Second is have a robust rental program. While we feel that increasing your overall collection rate, or that percentage of members that are paying their annual maintenance fees, is the critical component, something that we look at quite a bit. Rental is a key component as well, and that's a great second position behind having those dues-paying members. So we think it's important that you're properly yielding your units, that you're looking at what your competition's doing. Are we competitive in length of stay? Are we able to offer shorter stays, or are we still offering just week-long stays, if you will? So something to look at with rental in that regard. So exchange options. I'll really put this more about usage. It's are owners able to have utility with their program? Are they able to use their intervals? And probably everybody that's going to listen to this has a very high affinity for their home resort, or they wouldn't take the time to do this. But I think it's giving people, especially now that we see such a high percentage of owners that own multiple weeks, it's really important for them to be able to utilize all those individual weeks or intervals as they can. So do they have options for alternative use? I think is really, really key there. Something that everybody should look at. Kind of fourth on the list of 5, do we have an active collection process? One of the most important things that a board can do, or a management company, is ensure that we have collection of dues that are owed to the association. And then what do we do if somebody's late? How are we approaching those things? Do we have processes that are consistent? How are we making contact with those owners? And then when those first items are exhausted, what do we do to recover that interval? Or do we have a deed in lieu process? Do we have a process where we'll take back intervals from owners that are in distress? We feel it's important to get those intervals back before they go to foreclosure, and the association is saddled with having to pay those fees to get the intervals back. And then finally, hey, owner services, and I think you'll probably hear me say this quite a bit throughout our time together today. It's about engagement. The more that the owners are engaged, the more likely they are to use the product, the more likely they are to pay their maintenance fees, the more likely they are to refer a friend to the resort, the more likely they are to provide referrals. And we think it's critical that each association, each board finds ways to increase owner engagement through effective communication. And today's day and age, that's definitely on the web, as we're doing today. So those are 5 ways, and we can go more into that if people have questions as we go forward.
Okay, that's great. Now, what can be done to counter rising costs?
Sure. I think, probably everybody went through this last year, but, it's critical that we look at staff. I mean, that's your biggest expense. And I think probably assuming everybody's done that, and I don't mean, listen, we all love our staffs and we want to keep our staffs on. I just mean to say that everybody that we're paying full-time has a full-time job. And sometimes that means wearing multiple hats at the resort. And I think that that's a key component. But beyond that, I'd say it's critical for resorts to develop strategic partnerships. And whether that's on a regional level or a national level or a local level, is gather those top vendors, people that you can count on when you need them. Who's going to help you with that? Secure better pricing. And there are definitely better pricing. We saw that during the pandemic, that it was difficult for people to get materials. Probably the bigger clients got their materials first. And that was a key component. On those strategic partnerships, as you're looking to refurb units, which is another big expense. If you look at probably your 2 biggest beyond people, it's what does it cost you to clean the units? And I'll put materials in there. And then when we refurbish the units, are we thinking ahead? Are we thinking ahead when we are Are we making the units more efficient to clean? Are we making sure that we're putting things in there that last a long time, that have the proper warranties? And I think the warranties is really a critical component when you're establishing those strategic partnerships, or who you're buying your materials from. They're going to stand behind the product. And I would just say that while you probably can find a cheaper price sometimes on Amazon or another online channel, go with those people that you're going to know they're going to stand behind that product and warranty it. And then finally, having a critical review of your HOA's financials. And that can be done, I'm sure that everybody's doing that on a monthly basis already, but I would encourage you to have a second set of eyes look at that, and whether that's a reserve study or having somebody else, third party, take a look, because a new set of eyes sometimes is very helpful when you're looking at those things.
Well, on that note, I wanted to know or a poll question rather. Do you feel that your HOA's financials would benefit from a thorough review? And we have 66% of the viewers say they're okay for now. 19% say definitely, and another 14 are not sure but thinking it over.
There you go.
So now how can the right brand and communications efforts help raise revenue?
Sure. I think, again, it's back to owner engagement. It's how are we communicating with the owners? And I think people expect that to be very quick now. And everybody has a Facebook page. Most of the resorts now have a Facebook page. I think it's important that we make sure that information is readily accessible to the owners. I just had board members from one of the associations that we manage in Florida walk in. They're here in town, and we're showing around the corporate office. But one of the things that they have is they have a cabana being built on the ocean, and it was exciting because the GM had put on the Facebook site just kind of some progress shots, and they made a comment that they loved it. Right. So I think that they're seeing their hard-earned maintenance dollars put to good work. And I thought that was a really good real-life example of something that just happened. But we put a couple of examples here that we do, but I'm sure a lot of people do great things. I would just say that it's important that we continue to communicate with them, and you have a process by that. Are you putting out enough content? As you hear that, like you're doing here, Sharon, with your lunch and learns, is you're putting out content that people can use, and I think that's also important for the HOA to do as well. So just another great example.
Yeah, I agree. That's really key with us too. So how does technology play a role in good management, owner experience, controlling costs, and increasing revenue? Absolutely.
Well, I think in today's market, people expect to be able to have everything 24/7. They want to be able to get on their smartphone or their device and look at whatever they want to see, and they want that information right away. We think technology is key. Does your resort have an up-to-date website? Are owners able to look at their budgets? Are they able to, if it's floating time, are they able to make reservations that way? Are they able to see what's happening at the resort? Is the information updated? I think that good technology cuts down on the time, on the amount of people that you need for customer service. And not to say that we're going to cut people. We could repurpose those folks and have more services at the resort when they're there. But I think it's important that, and just one thing that we've focused on lately is, not lately, for the last several years, but is the resort's website ADA compliant? And that's something that we need to look at for everyone. And then, hey, social media. It's everybody is using it, is here to stay. Today, Facebook seems to be the mode of choice, but there are obviously many social channels out there for owners to engage in. So how are you doing that? How engaged are your owners? If you have 3,000 or 4,000 owners at your resort, how many are actually members of your Facebook page? And that's an easy thing for you to do. You could put a sign at check-in to gather that engagement. And again, the more that we're engaged, the more likely people are to continue as happy owners and recommend their friends.
Well, great. Now, another poll question came up. Do you feel that your business has the technology needed to meet your owners' expectations? And most people said that they're pretty good, but could always use improvement. I mean, we all could, right? 71% said that, and 28% are working on it, but not quite there yet.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody admitted that they're not it already.
Good. Well, that's great news. I'd say the one last thing I wanted to comment on that, Sharon, is, we want to make sure that we are, if we know that we need to add new owners at the resorts, what do those new owners expect as well? It's just something else for them to think about.
Yeah, true. So, what areas make the most sense for in-house teams?
So, I think it's important that you have, in-house teams that know your resort, know your bylaws, know your documents, and have access to the same information. And everybody out there sees that, right? Where you have continuity, and you know how things run at the resort. It's a big deal. But we encourage folks to have, and not everybody's going to be able to have an in-house team, but who can you count on for your legal advice, to cover HR, to ensure that you have your financials set on time and accurate, branding communications with the teams, really the things that we've covered here today. I know that's a lot, especially for somebody that may be self-managed or, I'll just use self-managed as an example, but that just means that for those resorts, maybe they need to have team members wear more than one hat to cover those services.
For sure. We did have one quick question from Harry Van Sciver. Thank you,
Sure.
Harry. Have you had any success with online or web-based stores for leftover inventory versus traditional resale efforts?
We haven't done a ton online, Harry, but I think that there's a lot of people that have tried that, and we just haven't had a lot of success with that. We find that for the most part, no, I shouldn't say that. When we do mailings to individual owner bases, yes, because they know what the product is, they've seen it, they've stayed in it, they already own it. I think it's important that we, for people that are the new buyers, they're going to want to see what they're buying for the most part, and have an idea of what that is. So I'd say both ways.
Well, and I might mention Harry is a co-owner of Fair Share Solutions, and they, as I understand, he'll probably slaughter me for not knowing all of the details, but he assists with resales too.
Awesome.
In that business. So apologies, Harry, if I mess you up. He's a great supporter of resort trades, by the way.
I know he has he's got a webinar coming up soon, doesn't he?
Yes. So the next question is, what can be done if a resort or HOA does not have the manpower expertise to do all of these things?
Well, that's a great question, obviously. And hey, it's a time that I'll use to plug capital vacation. So, we provide a full service management, full suite of management services. And I'm not going to bore everybody and go over all of these, but I think that's what a good management company can bring to bear for an association. We offer all of these services. We have in-house teams. We have a corporate office where we house these teams, and then have field offices where we have our regional support teams as well. So we think it's important. I think that if I was to list a few of these, and I'll try to go through them quickly in case there's any questions, but first and foremost, it's critical that you have accurate, timely, and detailed financials. I know when we go and RFP for new resorts and bring on new resorts into the capital family, that's one of the things I think that people are really excited about is the level of detail, the fact that they come out on the same day every month, and they know what to expect. Because again, quality financials are critical to running the resort on a daily basis. And I know engaged boards absolutely want that. I think another few things I like to point out, though, it's critical to create a viable sales and marketing program. And we sell for We don't sell for all of our managed resorts, but we sell for 46 of them. And it is really important that you have that. We actually offer a guarantee where we'll go in and we'll agree with the board on a takedown schedule where we will sell their HOA-owned inventory, and we agree on a number of intervals. We guarantee our performance, and we guarantee the maintenance fees. So whether we sell them or not, which we do, we pay the maintenance fees on those. So that allows the board to budget, count on the revenue, use the revenue for whatever project that they wish or operating. So we think that's critical. We have, and we can give you several examples where we have increased collection rates and the overall budgets by 6 to up to 20%. So there's some happy associations out there with that. The second is, hey, create a viable rental program. Again, I mentioned it before, but rental is far, far more than just making your inventory available on Booking.com or Expedia, which are the two main, if you know anything about that part of the industry, those are the two main players that own most of the brands you see. So it's about yield. It's about moving your price when you need to. It's about how far in advance do you expect reservations? When do you move that price? So there's a lot of things that go in there. The other thing that we do is we do offer a rental guarantee to resorts that qualify, where we'll go in and look at their past 3 years of rental. Obviously, 2020 is not one of the years because that's an aberration, obviously. But and we'll go in and we'll guarantee them a rental return. And generally, that's more than what they've ever received. So, and we have other ways that we can monetize the inventory through our club with exchange and such that allow us to do that. And we pay that monthly. Well, we pay it on a schedule. Again, it allows the resorts to budget for it. They know what's coming in. And it's been a big tool for those resorts, especially for those that signed up before March of last year. They really enjoyed getting those monthly checks. So that was a big thing. We think it's important to provide exchange opportunities. And again, I know most of the people that are going to watch this webinar love their home resort and want to go back every year. And that's great, right? For those times where you don't use one of the 3 or 4 weeks that you own, or you need to bank for the future, or times like happened this year with COVID, you're able to bank that with us, with our capital exchange, which is backed proudly by RCI. So we have access to all the RCI resorts through our own exchange. What we do for our managed associations that wish to have this for a very nominal fee, we make the whole association members of Capital Exchange. So the owners don't pay an individual membership to one of the exchange companies that's included with what we offer the association. And then they're able to exchange. The other thing that was really nice with that is they can bank their weeks for 5 years with us. And that allows them, they can go back to their home resort if they wish and have an extra time. So, especially with the number of owners that missed last year's vacation, and unfortunately, some may actually miss their vacation this year, especially those that are living abroad that aren't able to get in the country. So again, an important piece. We think it's important to have a deed in lieu. We have an entire deed in lieu department that help the associations get those intervals back before they go to foreclosure, which is critical. And I'll just point on a few other things. Is we feel it's important that we offer a complete owner communication strategy. So how would they want to communicate with their owners? We help them with newsletters on a regular basis, but we're the ones that set the calendar. I shouldn't say we set the calendar. We take direction from the board, allow them to tell us what they need, and we help them with quality communications to their owners. Again, it's about back that engagement. We have a full web team that can improve your websites or update them as needed, which again is becoming, especially with web security these days, is becoming a bigger and bigger deal. So I'll pause there, but again, last thing I would leave you with probably is complete legal and HR as well. So I'll pause there, Sharon, for our next.
Well, I know you've probably felt like, oh, this sounds like a sales spiel, but you know what? I think a lot of people are interested in what Capital Vacations is up to lately, because you have, from your history, you've as SPM Resorts and other entities that join together, grown tremendously. So I think people are interested in that. So
I hope so.
I think they are. So how many, the poll questions, how many of you currently use a management partner for your business? And interestingly enough, 64% said no, so you might have an opportunity there. And those people would probably be interested in all the things Capital Vacations does. And then the other 35% do have a management partner. So with a certain pent-up demand for travel coming soon, Lord willing,
Yes.
What should resorts be doing to get ready?
Well, I mean, here's the good news from what we see is that there's significant pent-up demand, and I think that everybody is seeing that. So we're actually seeing, beginning next month, we're seeing reservations above 2019 levels. We're seeing rental rates pick up. We're seeing advanced bookings for rentals pick up significantly. So we're actually excited, and I think the people I talk to around the industry are equally so. And we put together a list here for everyone, but I hope that everybody pulled as many maintenance projects forward as they could last year. But what we're asking our folks to do is pull them forward now, because we're expecting higher occupancy throughout the year, higher than they've historically had. So I think that's really important. I think it's time that we review our SOPs, right? Many resorts haven't seen significant occupancy since pre-COVID, right? So let's make sure that our SOPs are in order and that we're ready to handle, our teams at the resorts are ready to handle any problem that arises. I know everyone put in health and safety standards when COVID began, but it's time to go back over those. Based on what we know now, what would we do differently? What would we do the same? And this could be anything from, I think it's critical that we communicate both before owners arrive and upon arrival and while they're there. So are you doing that in advance? And that could be on some of those social channels, or it can be simply using, MailChimp or something for your email and emailing your owners and letting them know what to expect before they get there. We find that the more you communicate, the better in that regard. And then lastly, is many people took got down to necessary staff only through COVID, and we've seen folks hire some staff back. But if you're expecting higher than normal occupancy, which many resorts should, it's important that you staff now, because we're also seeing that the marketplace is tough. It's tough to get great people to come to work right now. So it's good to start in advance of that and have a good plan for hiring, which is critical.
Well, yes, indeed. And Travis, it's just been a pleasure getting to know you. I know our little team here at Resort Trades has really enjoyed getting to know you. And I wondered, what have been your greatest joys working in the timeshare industry, and now most lately being with Capital Vacations?
It's easy. I think for me, it's been awesome to be able to work in an industry that I'm passionate about. Right. I grew up and we vacation as a family. I'm very close with my family, my mom and dad, and my sister today. And I think that some of the fondest memories I have as a kid is on vacation. My mom was a teacher, so we got to see her when we were off, and it was great having the same schedule that she did. But my father had a small construction company, and he worked dusk till dawn till dusk, if you will, to make a living. And sometimes that would be an hour, depending on where he was building, an hour commute. So. But I always remember we took 2 great vacations a year. We took a drive-to ski destination and a beach vacation, and those weeks he was completely engaged with us. And I'll never forget what that felt like, and made a difference for me in my life. And hey, I try to do that today for Shannon and our girls, Brooke and Cameron. So it's something's really cool. And then the second thing I would say is that I've met some of my best friends in the world in the industry, and I'm proud to say that when Shannon and I got married 16 years ago, we had several owners at our wedding, which shows you how close that became. So that's been the fun part, and I look forward to more of that. Hey, I'm 25 years in, as you mentioned, and I thought I'm not halfway there. So I'm looking forward to more.
Well, my family and I used to go to Ocean City, Maryland every year. I would just pray that it wouldn't rain. So what are some innovative ways resorts can raise revenue and ensure their strength and longevity? Good question.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of that. I think for me, I would say two things. Is I would just encourage people to be open-minded. I think, and anybody that's going to take the time to listen to this is open-minded. It's General Colin Powell, our Secretary of State Colin Powell, who I love to quote because I think he's awesome. But he says, "Hope's not a strategy," right? And I think that for people that hope that things stay the same, things aren't going to stay the same. So it's how do we celebrate our legacy and secure that for all the people who love those resorts. But how do we go into the future? So be open-minded, seek new solutions, and then hey, I'm a passionate advocate for picking the right management partner. I think that the right management partner can more than offset whatever fee is charged and what they return to the association and the owner base in value. So I think you should have somebody that's working 24/7 for you that can help your HOA and provide solutions that you wouldn't have on your own overall. So.
Okay, great. Well, another poll question came up and we've received some answers. Do you feel that your business is working at its best? And 90% said pretty well, but could always stand to improve. And 9% said we're a long way off. And nobody said I'm satisfied at the moment. So I think that spirit of continuous improvement is so important and vital in a successful business. So I think you hit the nail on the head there. Anyway, I think you might like to also speak to anybody who is not satisfied and would like to discuss partnering with Capital Vacations, that they could contact you personally. I think that goes without saying. tbary@capitalvacations.com. Now, there were a few questions that our attendees sent in advance, and Harry, being obviously a very lively questioner, says efficacy of HOAs inviting public use of for-pay amenities. So,
yeah, I would say, if your resort has the capacity to handle that without affecting owner experience, right? Because I think the last thing you want to do is affect your owner experience. You want those people to have the best experience, your owners to have the best experience they possibly can. But where that makes sense, I think absolutely. I think you just want to make sure that your amenities can handle it and your facilities can handle it. I mean, everything from parking to bathrooms to whatever that looks like. But if your resort has the capacity, I say by all means. I mean, for the board members out there, I mean, one of your main fiduciary duties, well, two of the main ones are to follow your documents and your resort declaration and secure revenue. So I think it's important that you look at every solution.
Yeah, I think a lot of resorts with golf courses do that too. And we do publish a golf course trades magazine for golf course superintendents and golf course managers, if anybody's interested. Now, Lisa Jarvis wants to know, with many resorts considering lower rental rates to attract travelers, what do you anticipate the impact will be on the timeshare sales departments?
No, hey, Lisa, good to hear from you. I think, clearly higher rental rates. The higher the rental rate, the better the rental guest, the more likely they are to purchase, the higher sales efficiency you'll have. I know that Lisa's down in the Caribbean, so they're still seeing a little bit of difficulty with airlift and overall travel, so those rates might be suffering there. But again, I'm encouraged. I think as things open up, and I'm definitely a glass. I'm not even half full. I'm a glass, all the way full person. But I see as the vaccine takes hold and people are going to gain confidence, and I think we're seeing that. All the surveys that ART is doing, TBMA as well, they're doing a lot of surveys to see how people are, what they're doing, and I think you're going to see that confidence. I think the rental rates will pick up. I do.
Oh, from your lips to God's ears. So Chris Bounds wants to know, what is the longer term outlook for or when interest rates begin to rise, making existing notes less desirable, priced down in the marketplace, and so on. So once again, causing balance sheet issues, etc. Is there a practical cap on the rates that can be charged to new owners?
That's a good question, Chris. I think absolutely. I think that there's a cap. I think, traditionally you see the timeshare consumer paying a little bit higher interest rate, and then, more credit card rate than a homeowner rate. Obviously, it's a short-term unsecured loan. But I would say absolutely I think not only have an interest rate impact just from the visual touch, but I think a lot of the new owners look at, what is my monthly expense, right? They want to know, with my maintenance fees and everything together, what is my monthly expense? So I think what we'll see is that there may be some price adjustments based on how those interest rates go, because again, it goes back to that, what's the monthly payment? But I will say this, I think our industry is a resilient industry. I think in a great market, we get the rising tide raises all boats. And I think in a contracting market, which I don't think we're in right now, but I think in a contracting market, we also attract those clients that used to look at a second home, that now want to look at what's a smaller piece of the pie that I can own. So, I think you see that, and you saw that in the last recession in 2008, 2009, and I think we're seeing that right now. I think as people can travel, and we're seeing that out there, just for everybody on the webinar here, the people that are traveling right now are open-minded and they're spending more money than ever. We are seeing higher than ever close rates on our sales presentation. So I think that's good news. I think it's a really good consumer confidence barometer, if you will.
Oh, for sure. Now, Paul Carney, hi Paul, from VRI, he says, how do you find outlets or buyers for off-season inventory? Great question.
Paul, always good to hear from you. Hey, in my opinion, that's the reason that a travel club, a vacation club is so important. You have to have some vehicle that can combine off-season inventory, shoulder season inventory, prime inventory, and be able to move that. So I think it's important to have a sales partner that has sales distribution beyond just your lobby at your resort. I think the days of having a single, and I'm not saying everywhere, but besides some very select locations, the days of having a single agent in the lobby being able to be the total solution for an association, I think are past. I think it's important that you have a sales partner that has the ability to market and has distribution. And again, a plug for us. We have 6 main distribution centers that are outside the resorts across the U.S., and then we also sell it at some of the resorts as well. And I think it's also important, Paul, that you have a partner that has marketing dollars to spend. And that's something that's surprising when I talk to people about how to acquire a new owner and how much that costs. To acquire a new owner, from marketing perspective, costs between $3,000 and $6,000 depending on the channel. One new owner. So you have to have somebody that really can have the capital to do that. No pun intended.
Right. Marge Lennon asks, with so much consolidation in our industry, how can an independent company like yours survive?
Hey, I'd say that we are an independent company, but we're well capitalized and well funded. So we're looking to grow our footprint now, and I think that most importantly, and the reason I joined Capital in 2018 was that I felt we were we were playing in a segment of the market, the legacy timeshare space, and we offered the best in class services. That's really what attracted me. I saw the need. I didn't see anybody else really doing that. And there's other management companies that offer great service. So I'm not. I don't want to say anything different than that. But I feel like our entire suite of services, with sales, the rental guarantee, all the other things that we can do, the in-house departments, we can offer a greater level of service. And I think there's a need out there. When you're seeing the associations that have 3 and 4 or 5%, and we'll see what happens this year, delinquency rate increase each year, it's important that you have somebody that can help you have a long-term plan to ensure your revenue and ensure your asset.
Yeah. Oh, I think that makes sense. Drew Britton from True Incentive asks, what practices has Capital Vacations enacted to reduce marketing costs at sites with active sales?
I go back to distribution. That's a great question, Drew. And I think obviously you do a lot to offer incentives to get clients to tour at a favorable rate to the sellers and a high value to the client. So I think that's critical, which is what you do every day. I think the other piece is that how do we have strategic contact with strategic channels where we have contact with owners. So we do a lot around our lead management. How do we have partnerships where we can have a warm transfer to a new client? What does that look like? And we're actively building new ways to do that now. I mean, I think that's another reason that I joined Capital is you see a really innovative look at how do we develop products that people would want. And maybe that's a short-term product to get people in the door, and then they may upgrade to the long-term, the perennial product if they see value. So I think there's a lot of things that we're doing to try to create those new clients and bring new clients to our resorts.
And we had another question from Stephen Green from SPI Software. Are there any communication automation tools that you use to communicate with guests and owners? You mentioned MailChimp. Mm-hmm. But anything automated?
Yeah, we do. We do a lot of automated texting things with owners when they're on site. When they have an important date coming up or when reservation availability comes up, and we obviously have a robust website which we are actively reaching out to owners to come to the website and see what is there. So again, that's a great question, because I think that the more that you can engage owners, the more critical it's a critical piece. So there's a lot of ways that we can do that, and we have a whole team that specializes in that. Much smarter than I am, Stephen.
Well, I don't know about that. I'm sure you all are very talented and brilliant. Harrison Dunn said, you talked about your employees. What measures are you taking to attract and retain those employees? And I might mention that Resort Trades does have a classified section.
I mean, who doesn't know that, Sharon? Everybody knows that.
Thank you.
What are we doing to attract and retain employees? And retain being equally important. First, we offer what I like to say is our fantastic benefits from health to vacation time to vision and dental, all the things you'd expect, 401k, to make it when we look at somebody's total rewards for working with Capital. So that's monetary, and I think we offer very competitive income for folks that work with us. But I think more than anything is we focus on culture. Is what is the culture like? Do people enjoy their role? Because we've all heard the statement that people don't leave companies; they leave their manager or their bosses. And what culture are we supporting? What culture are we creating? Are we supporting each other? And hey, we've had our growing pains in the past, and we don't hide from those. I think everybody has, when issues arise, all you can do is grow from that, and that's what we're focused on doing. But I would hope that everybody that comes to work with us feels valued and for the work that they do. And I think that when you can show people what they do every day on these 8 or 10 hours or more that they're away from their families, how what they're doing is contributing to somebody else's great vacation or the company's success or their team's success. I think that's critical. So,
yeah, I agree. Nick Borovich asks, are there any strategies to combat the heavy inflation of property insurance, i.e. risk and safety programs or COVID management?
Absolutely. That's a great question. And I think that it's important. That's a rising cost each year. And I think it's critical that you look at that. And, what we do is we employ a group insurance policy for our resorts, property casualty and storm insurance, where we leverage that policy over several geographic areas that allow us to have shared deductibles, that allow us to really show benefits, not only in premium costs, but when something does happen. I know we had, I think the last name, well, actually, I don't want to knock on wood when I start talking about named storms, but we shared deductibles across all the resorts that were hit, and it saved hundreds of thousands of dollars for those resorts. So I think that is a great question, and it's something that's critical. I don't know what's out there for the independent resorts, that's something we could look into, because I think that's really a big benefit that we show. And I'd say that is, as we close up and show our contact information, I know we have a lot of folks out there that are self-managed. I'm a firm believer that we can come in and with all the savings that we can offer, show you how whatever fee that we agree upon, we can show you more value than you're paying out. So, and that's a great example, is a shared insurance policy.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that is about coming to the end of our session today. I did want to say, if you have any further comments or questions, we'll be posting this online on YouTube on our Resort Trades channel later this afternoon, and or perhaps early tomorrow. And then you can leave your comments, and also we hope that you'll go on to the YouTube channel and share the content with people, because I think it's helpful, and it helps keep our community network together better. It's been thank you, Travis, very much. Nobody's doing this for money, directly at any rate, I know. So I really appreciate the enormous time and effort and resources you put into this. You did a phenomenal job. Thank you. And so I guess with that, we will bid you adieu, and thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Sharon. You and your team are awesome. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Sharon Scott Wilson, publisher of Resort Trades. We have been bringing you free videos in the hopes that we can help solidify the timeshare resort community and provide you, vacation ownership professional, that you are, with some useful information. So when you hit the like button or share or comment, you're helping yourself too to be more integrated into the community, helping others get to know you. So be an influencer, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon so you'll be notified when we post a new video. And thank you. Good luck.